My face currently feels like I've been run through by Tom Stewart.
Puts it to the top of the square. Oh, beautiful little fist in there by Dale. Crucial centimetre moments.
He definitely has a bit of the Belcho spirit. As I have a bit of the Belcho spirit.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Back Pocket Podcast, a podcast run by two guys who have the footy boots ready just in case Essendon need a 15th jobber to play at fullback.
It's getting really grim for them.
You know it's bad when we're on the list. My name's Alistair, that's Jack, this is the Back Pocket.
Yeah, I mean, if they stop using rucks, they could try a really undersized defender.
If they keep drafting rucks, no one's ever played a 6-ruck defence before.
No, it could work.
It could
Maybe
be the next big thing.
Maybe Brad Scott's going to uncover the secret to football.
Brad Scott in a bar thinking about total football, and it's just 6 really tall men in the back 50.
It was really funny. There's a commentary moment in that game where obviously no one in the commentary box knowing who Blackiston was really before the game. Shannon Neal took a mark. We just kind of held him off and positioned him too well, and they said Shannon Neal too tall, and I was like, too tall?
No.
For the 203 centimetre ruckman?
No.
I don't think that's true at all.
They just didn't do their research because, you know,
yeah,
it's like the 48th Essendon player.
Yeah. Well, they'll be going for that Bulldogs record from a few years ago of most players used in a season if they're not careful.
Yeah, it's going to be the most for a non-expansion team. So.
Debutants, yeah, but players used as well. They've rotated through
true.
pretty much everyone this year. Yeah, it was a... I mean, do I want to say another shit weekend of football? There wasn't
it was
many
terrible.
great games. I wrote my rap as always. I wrote Saints versus Dogs. Saints are bad, Dogs are good, Darcy's terrifying.
Yeah.
Hawks and Crows was a close but awful wet game in a freezing Tasmanian conditions. I do think there's a conspiracy there that the AFL's put most of the Tassie games at night this year. Hawks were lucky, right in front of me, etc., etc. Lions and Giants, I still think the Giants are bad, but they kicked straight to victory. Hogan, Monstead, Andrews and Cabman might have arrived. 17-5 to 13-8 means Lions might have lost themselves 2 in a row. Bad kicking. Bombers and Cats was tradition continues, but this time against like Essendon's VFL team.
Barely worth talking about.
North and Freo. Freo won that game with a 6-minute burst in the second term where they kicked 5 goals. Outside of that, North were their equal or better. Port and D's, Melbourne continue to kick themselves out of games. Jason Horne-Francis back immediately. Port may be safe from bottom 4 with the last couple of wins. Eagles and Blues. Blues kicked out and then just kind of stopped. And I think part of it might have been tactical as well as their normal second half Blues, but they subbed off Curnow immediately as soon as without even doing much more research on that, and then just kind of went blow for blow. But on a West Coast front, McCarthy looks cool.
Yeah, I thought Dewar was good as well, but more on that later, I guess.
But yeah, that was...
Port have surprised me the last 2-3 weeks because obviously pre-bye, they had some of the worst...
They looked like one of the worst teams
in the comp. Yeah, they lost to Freo by 50. They lost to Geelong by like 70.
70, yep, at home.
They lost a showdown, but those are close, so they don't count. What was the other one they got smashed in? Oh, yeah, they lost to the Bulldogs by 90 points.
There was a really grim weeks, and everyone was talking about getting Ken out early and yada yada. But as they so often do under Ken, like last year when they lost those 2 games by 50-odd points, they found something. Beat Sydney comfortably, and then held off Melbourne. They despite Melbourne's kicking, they were a better team pretty much all day. I think they controlled that game. Rosie, as we've said earlier, really found a home of half-back, and Horne-Francis is sick.
They'd need to win at least 7 of their next 10 games and fix a 84.7 percentage.
I don't see them making finals, but I do think
tough.
they're safe from bottom 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it was interesting. Other news for the week is the grand final is staying in the standard time slot, thank goodness.
Yep.
Nobody outside of TV companies who can pretend more people watched it want it later. The only reason the ratings are different is because there's people at pubs and parties and whatever. And if the 2020 grand final had been a day game, my dad might still have 2 eyes.
Yeah, that's true.
Also fun.
I think you can blame the whiskey, really.
I probably can, yeah. But by extension... night game. I do still say that was like the longest day of my life.
Your dad, whiskey and fireplaces is a deadly combo.
A near deadly combo. But that was a super long day. I think night grand finals are insane. The spectacle is better.
I think it was good because I went to a family one that year. We normally just do it here.
Yeah.
which is weird that's a tradition. I know we've been living together for, 5 years,
5 years.
but it feels like a longer time than that. But I went to a family do. We had dinner, which was nice, instead of just snacks.
Yeah.
So,
Also, imagine the time over there.
yeah,
Game
absolutely.
finishing at like 10 p.m.
Yeah, well, Noah Bolter would have to almost miss out on a grand final, wouldn't he, if it was a night grand final?
I did enjoy, like, that's funny. I did enjoy, one of the few times I've ever, like, actually taken a pot shot at someone on Twitter about the dumb shit they've said was Damien Barrett and Sam McClure.
Damien Barrett.
I called them massive dweebs.
Sounds like something
for
you'd
being
say.
like, no, but we've got to do the TV ratings. The funny part was, like, the two players were Bartel and Lloyd, and they were both like, no, the grand final has to stay during the day.
There's
Bartel
something
was put it better than almost anyone I've ever heard on his show with Eddie Maguire a few years ago, where he talked about all the businesses around Melbourne that say the amount of people that come out
Yes.
after grand finals
Yeah.
can't happen for a night grand final.
No, because they'll all be shut.
And, like, obviously he's against it for playing reasons and logical reasons. Jamari Ugle-Hagan returned to the Bulldogs,
Yes.
which is a good start.
It's interesting. I wish that I could take a 6-month, gap leave to go drink and post pictures and talk shit on Instagram and then rock back home.
Well, he did spend
Be like, I'm back.
4 to 6 weeks in a facility in New South Wales
True.
at the AFL's behest.
That was recently.
That
though.
was recently. That was the end of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Dogs fitness staff reckon he's at least 6 weeks away from being match fit.
Well, they've talking him up already. I watched the midweek tackle earlier today, and they were talking about how he was lacing out kicks and looked like he'd never missed a day.
But I'm trying to see it as a good news story. It's one of those ones where, like, a not quite match fit Ugle-Hagan at VFL level is still absolutely terrifying.
Oh, and we've already talked about how Darcy is terrifying in their forward line. I think that Ugle-Hagan coming back would be huge for them.
And amazing for Norton as well. He could pinch it in the ruck way more often, and he's obviously better as the third, especially with Waitman missing. Yeah, I think that's one. But along with that, injury crisis for Keys across the league.
Yeah,
this
it's
week.
pretty rough, isn't it?
Payne out for probably the rest of the season. Mackay's got 4 to 6 weeks surgery. DeConing's having shoulder surgery, so he's out for 4 to 8 weeks. Taylor's out for maybe the rest of the season.
Except the Sam variety
Oscar
as
Allen
well.
also out for up to the rest of the season, and then Charlie Curnow is going to be touch or go this weekend. We just lost like most of the best key forwards and defenders in the comp in one weekend.
Well, most of the reigning good keys, because on the weekend we had Georgiades kick 7, Cadman kick 5, Morris kick 5,
Neil kick 4,
and Darcy and Pat Voss, podcast favourite, kick 3.
Pat Voss in the wet. He was looking sick. He had
punching through.
Had the 4th one overturned as well. Devastating.
So like those are all players who are like what? At most 24. I don't know how.
It was really cool to see, because like we've been in this little slump where like still all of the best players have been those older ones.
Yes.
On the weekend, it was if we saw all of them kind of at once, be like, no, there's hope. There's the next generation.
There's
coming
still
through.
keys coming through. So that was awesome to see. Obviously, we've just lost a stack playing, but it's not a complete wash because we have good players coming through. And obviously,
and then we saw
we'll see. I think it's on Sunday. We'll see Darcy kick 12 against Richmond.
We saw the pick 11-12 swap matchup as well on the weekend with Caddy and O'Sullivan. And like we've seen enough from Caddy to show that he should be good. Unfair to say, but O'Sullivan definitely taking the points in their first matchup.
Yeah, but he plays for Essendon, and those matches, the day that Essendon start winning those games is the day that we all
That's
start
when they
to
might
take
have started to turn
Essendon
around as a club,
seriously
right?
again,
Yeah.
I think.
Anyway, shall we jump into votes?
Why not? And you have to go first.
Yeah, I will. So this is votes on the... I mean, if you're tuning into this episode, it's the first episode of the year. That's crazy.
What are you
doing? But we're voting on the Defenders Award, the Scarlett Savani Medal, for the best defender in the comp. We go 5 through 1 every week. We're even doing it through the buys this year because they're spread out more and we're only missing
It's
2
easier.
or 4 games a week. It's not that big of a
Podcast
deal.
is cancelled as
Everyone
soon
gets
as
a chance.
there's regular buys.
Oh, if the 19th team comes in, this is a Twitter page only. Almost immediately. So, you did the intro, so I do my one vote. So my one vote this week is to Rory Lobb.
Okay, fair enough.
I know it was a big win, but almost every game was a big win this weekend. He had 17 disposals, 6 of those were intercepts. He had 5 rebound 50s, 11 spoils, 16.6 rating points and 4 coaches' votes. He was really good. He has been really good for most of the year.
Yeah.
Outside of games where the Bulldogs' midfield's fallen apart.
Very solid.
He's playing good footy. Having Darcy back meant that Karmas could float between third forward, third back. They subbed him off as well, which was crazy.
They didn't have to put Lob up forward either.
And yeah, Lob could just stay in the back line as the last defender at all times. So that was good. One vote.
My one vote is to debutant, 31 disposals, Tom McCarthy.
Yep.
I got him down as one vote. This week was so difficult to get to 5. I had 4 like locked in, and then I was just searching for my 5.
Yeah, no, my number 1 vote floated around 4
Yeah.
or 5 different guys. So
So my one's going to Tom McCarthy, who on debut, 2 weeks after getting to the club, had 31 disposals, 7 rebounds, 571 metres gained, and 9 intercepts. Pretty,
I was surprised he only
Wet.
managed 1 coach's vote, to be honest.
pretty wet conditions, but
But, I mean, again, Carlton really did just take that lead and then kind of go, we're not,
yeah.
no big match times for good players or anything like that.
It was much more frustrating at the ground because it was harder to tell it was
Yeah.
tactical.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of it was just painful. Sorry, the less said about that, the better.
Didn't see you on the TV this year, so.
I didn't get much opportunity to
There
jump
weren't
up
many
and
goals.
shout outside of the
There weren't
first
many goals.
quarter.
Yeah. So my 2 votes, podcast favourite apparently for the last couple of weeks, Luke McDonald.
Luke McDonald's my
Your
2 as
2
well.
votes. Excellent. He was really good again. He had 27 disposals. 12 of those 27 were intercepts. Had 1 spoil, 5 rebound 50s. Got 4 coaches' votes as well. Luke McDonald. We've shit
potted
talked him into playing good football.
He's had a rough trot in that back line for North Melbourne, and I feel like the last couple of weeks he's really stepped up. Maybe just likes playing in WA.
Yeah, maybe.
But he has been quite good, and that's with obviously the lack of Chombin as well.
Yeah.
So I had Luke McDonald penciled in
And I think-
straight after that game.
With 1 win and a close game against Freo, it's not.
I think it's
call it
ultimately a success.
Really? Yeah.
If they'd beaten Freo, we would be giving it ticks
Massive
all
success,
around.
yeah.
The fact that they even got within 6 points of Freo at
And-
Freo's home.
Maybe with a better team over the whole game.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's a tick. 50-50 is about what you'd want from those 2 games. 50-50 with a positive percentage. Good.
I'm also not a betting man, but right now, North Melbourne are $4 to beat Carlton.
Yeah, it's
That
an
is-
interesting one. Like you talked about the Essendon thing with Geelong.
Yeah.
North is that with Carlton.
Yeah, true.
And like I was saying to someone earlier today that one of Carlton's biggest problems this year is their own brain. And that's not a problem they seem to have against West Coast or North.
Yeah.
Like that seems to be the thing that they can just push past. So, but I do think with the outs Carlton have and the way North have been playing the last few weeks, it's the best chance they've had in a long time to do it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But on to 3 votes. We spoke of him a little bit earlier. My 3 votes was DeConnor Rosie.
He missed for me in my honourable mentions.
Had 32 disposals. He went into the middle a couple of times with bounces, but he did that thing where he just dropped straight back and
Yeah.
the 2 wings kind of pushed forward. 89% of his disposals were in the back half. 5 of those were intercepts. He had 12 rebound 50s, 12 defensive half pressure acts, and 770 metres gained. Connor Rosie it's like a new lease on life for him and the whole midfield.
It is funny because he played there in juniors and we never heard about it. He was straight
it was
into the midfield.
Josh Carr coaching him there as well. It's maybe
Yeah.
that was what they needed, but it's
I've
allowed Bergman to go in as that other
got-
defensive mid.
I've got 2 Port players ahead of him, so I can't.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So who's
you-
your 3?
My 3, it's not a Port player. Bailey Williams from the Dogs.
He was in my rotating mentions.
It was so difficult to give people votes this week. I'm looking at the win against St Kilda being I don't know how many points it was, 90 points. It felt like a lot. And just going, can I give votes to someone here? But it was a Bailey Williams game. 27 disposals, 7 rebounds, 696 metres gained, 4 intercept marks. Pretty standard.
And we like Bailey Williams.
We like Bailey Williams.
Both of them.
No, not this week.
No.
No, I'm a big Bailey J.
We've
Williams
been
defender.
big defenders of Bailey J. for a long
Watching
time.
him kick 3 in...
Yeah, you weren't happy about it.
I wasn't happy about it, but I was like, I've spent years defending Bailey Williams to West
Gotta be
Coast
happy for
fans.
All right, so my 4 then is not a Port player.
No.
It's formerly a Port player.
Yeah.
It's Jarman Impey.
Jarman. That's mine as well.
That's your 4 as well?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. He was probably the best player on ground in that game. In fact, the coaches gave him 10 votes to agree with that statement.
Yes, they did. I described it as, God, that was a shit game to watch, but he made it slightly better to watch.
It's amazing when you see that one player who
Yes.
looks like they're not playing with a wet ball in those
Yeah.
kind of conditions. He had 26 disposals, 10 of those were intercepts. He had 10 marks,
wrote down
3
28.
spoils, 4 score involvements. One of those was a launch, 8 rebounds, 11 defensive high pressure acts. Jarman Impey, it's a couple of weeks in a row. He's been 4 or so weeks in a row. He's been really, really good.
28 disposals, not 26.
What was it?
You robbed him of 2.
I just can't read. I wrote 28. That's fine.
Yeah, no, really good. What
and-
more can be said? I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about any of the games that happened this week.
And 16.5 rating points as well to go along with his 10 coaches' votes. I think he had the most disposals in that game with 28, which showed how scrappy it was.
It was a pretty low rating points round,
Yeah.
apart from like one particular player,
Yes.
who doubled the next best on that game. But
Yeah.
I guess 5 then.
My 5 is to the worst thing I've ever seen on a football field. That's a Salvatore Galea.
So also a 5 votes from me. 10 votes
10
to
votes
Sav.
to Sav. Could you imagine
This is unheard of.
Luke McDonald and a Salvatore Galea in the same week, by the way?
This really was a bad week for football.
But he was genuinely the best player on ground in that game, the best key defender in the comp this round.
Yeah.
18 disposals, 12 of those were intercepts, which is insane.
Yeah.
7 were contested. 13 marks, 8 intercepts. Looked like he was going for the record at one
Won
point.
all of his contested
Won
one-on-ones.
all 3 of them. Had 3 rebound 50s. Had only 1 score involvement, and it was a launch. 17 rating points. Only 8 coaches votes, and I thought he was robbed.
Yeah, who was I think there was one player who ended up scoring higher than him in the rating points, but it was
but
clearly
he was
wrong.
clearly the best player on the ground. But yeah, big Sav. What a great game.
And I thought it was good after the game for...
I wonder if Chris Scott just sat there being like, I knew he could do it. He was watching that game. He was like, I was telling everyone he could do it.
Ken Hinkley came out
I'm shocked Dad didn't say
straight
anything
after the
about
game and was
kept
like
his praises.
singing his praises, because I feel like he must be a really nice person, or like
everyone who's ever worked with him loves him. Yeah.
everyone. And that's, if you've got Hinkley and Scott on your side, surely you must be doing something right. I imagine Scott's prickly to get into.
Yeah.
But Ken would throw his arms
Especially
around
back when Sav was like before the Scotty Revolution.
And Scott was the number one reason he didn't leave that club the first time.
Yeah. And
Like,
why
he
they
was
got
like,
such
no,
high
I
trade
want him
value
to
for him,
stay.
because he's like, no, I want this man at my football club.
Yeah, so he must be lovely behind closed doors. And it's unfortunate that he's had some of the biggest brain fades we've ever seen on a football field. Always on the goal line.
Always. Forward and back.
Forward and back. But yeah, awesome game from him. Pickett was the higher rated player, which I think is fair based on first quarter.
Until he got that, what looked like might have been an injury and buggered off for a bit. But yeah, I was shocked Dad didn't message me during that game to talk about how good Radaglia was, because he was a massive rat defender when he was at Geelong.
He would be.
Special mentions this week.
Rat defender.
Great band name, Rat Defender.
Yeah, Rat Defender's good.
Special mentions this week were to Jacob Wiedering, Ruben Jimby again.
Yep.
He only played on Kerno for the first half, but he did a pretty good job again while he was doing it. Josh Weddle. Zach Guthrie couldn't do it because of the game.
I've got Zach Guthrie in for honourable mentions
and
too.
Bailey Dale.
Tyrell.
Generating
Dua as
insane
well.
scores off halfback again, and Dua, yeah.
Yeah, he had a rough first quarter. I think most of the Eagles did.
Yeah.
I think he had a couple of really bad turnovers, and then he just...
It's like the opposite of that game he played against Brisbane early this year, where he had an insane first half and then vanished. This game was like he really came into it. And if he can kind of put that all together into one game...
I mean, just that game alone shows that they have the nucleus of 2 long-term halfbacks.
Yes.
And obviously McCarthy's a bit older, but that's fine. But that's 2 people who can rack up 25 disposals.
There's a lot in there for West Coast that you can see being something.
Yeah.
Like you obviously read whether he stays or goes, whatever. But Bo Allen has showed that his floor is really good. Like even when he's not doing much, his pressure around the ball is really good. His ball use is really good.
Jinby's really knuckled down in the back 50.
Jinby's, I'm so happy because I was obviously his praises in his draft year. But also obviously Hewitt looks
Hoff
incredible.
didn't play,
Hoff back or mid. So there's something there. There's a bit of
it's just and I don't want to give credit to the media heads who talk every week, but I feel like their problem is they're older players not performing. And he was fine, but I'm watching like Jamie Cripps, who's been a legend for the club.
I defended Kelly a lot this year, but he was lethargic and slow all game that game. He did some burst things. We were like, well, that's what he does, but a lot of the time, just contest to contest, kind of moving slowly. And it's the senior players who should be leading from the front, being led by, a debutant and a second-year player basically on the weekend. So,
and I think I'd prefer, if I was a West Coast fan, my money to be in non-conditional players like a Darcy Cameron. If they were able to pull him across, then you're more.
And then, Graham and Baker have been what they wanted them to be.
Oh, Baker's been good. He was tagged out of that game, unfortunately.
But they've been what they wanted them to be this year. I think there's... If Bo Allen turns out to be what he could be, that's a fine trade for West Coast in the end. Like, pick 2 for... Get Baker in for now and then Allen for the future. Could be totally fine.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And it avoided... I said this today. I was talking to Jasper Chalapa, who does the ESPN draft stuff. Where I was saying, would West Coast think about trading down to split? Because there's 2 WA kids lower down in the draft. And then he said about doing it last year. I was like, yeah, they probably won't do it again because people yelled at them so much for doing it last year. I was like, but they avoided the same conversation with Jagger Smith as they're now having with Reed. Like, they don't have to have the whole, they're a rubbish team, will he want to go home with Allen because he's from here.
Yeah.
Well, Freo will probably try and pinch him for the next 5 years, but, you know, it's a bit different to draft a kid that you know isn't going to have that pullback to family. Anyway, round highs. Brennan Cox had the most spoils with 14. Radaglia and McDonald, our two amazing mentions with the highest intercepts for the week this week with 12 each. Radaglia with intercept marks at 8. Jordan Butts had 7 out of 8.
He was in my special mentions as well.
7 out of 8 one-on-one. Beth was really enjoying him playing a good game because Beth kept going, they keep saying Butts.
Jesus Christ.
Luke Cleary had 4 out of 4 one-on-one wins as a small defender, which is pretty cool. Shows another aspect to his game, I think, which the Bulldogs will be happy about. And then Rosie had the most rebound 50s with 12, because why wouldn't you give him the ball when you're leaving the 50?
Yeah, why not?
Anyway, that's votes.
That's that.
You got stocks up, stocks down?
I do. We already talked about my stocks up, which is young key forwards.
Well, my stocks up was one in particular.
Which is...
I could have said Capman. I thought that was the most obvious one, but I wanted to give it to Georgiades because I think it's gone unnoticed from me how good he's been this year.
Yeah, he's been great.
He's had 6 games of 3 or more goals this year, only 1 goalless game. He should have had probably more than the 7 he kicked on the weekend. He's had 5 or more shots on goal 7 times this year and has taken 5 marks in all but 4 games. As a young key forward, that's sick.
He's been good for a while. I think he was obviously he's had some injuries, but I've rated Georgiades pretty highly.
His first game was really cool. I remember us getting pretty hyped about him then. If he can hold it together, for sure. And you were going key forwards in general, obviously we kind of
went over them.
Stocks down?
My stocks down in particular is the AFL app/website. Now,
I love opening the app and staring at the loading screen.
I get so frustrated that if I want to pick my own stats, I have to go to the website to pick all the things that I want to look at. So none of the defensive stats are up front on the site, so you've got to select them. If I want to then see, what their CBAs, the tracker. I have to go to the app. So to look up all the information about a player, I have to go to 2 different places, which is so frustrating.
As anyone who's creating a app would say, one source of truth. AFL doesn't have that. There's no one place you can go to get all the information.
The website, Match Center, goes straight to pick a round.
Yep.
The website on computer... Sorry, the website on the phone goes straight to pick around. The website on computer doesn't have a back button for me to go back to the previous round. So it can be matches. The day after all those matches have happened, and all I'm seeing is next week's games. And I can click through to the week after, but I can't go backwards.
I don't know why it does what it is. It's when the coaches' votes come out, everything moves to the next week. The stats on the website and app are like criminal. Like, this is the official website of the league. You should be able. I shouldn't have to go to third-party sites like Wheelo. Thank goodness for Wheelo
to find things.
And like DFAs do CBA stuff.
The fact that you can't even see coaches' votes per season anywhere is insane to me. The AFL are really missing a trick with their app, and it's reached critical mass with me. I'm so pissed.
A spreadsheet of it somewhere, thanks to Wheelo.
Yes.
Because Wheelo had to go back. He had to contact the Coaches Association to get the early season's coaches' votes because they just weren't on record. It's very frustrating.
And like the fact that I have to use an AFL tables is a godsend. Let's be real.
And so many of those people who scrape stuff start with AFL tables. Because it's one guy just running this amazing website forever.
But obviously that doesn't update
instantly.
So that will come in after everything. So I don't know if this week's
all
games
of our
are up
first
or not.
86 stats from last year came from AFL tables because he does goal by goal scorelines,
which is awesome to look at as well. I love going back to an old game and being like, oh, fuck, Jordan Lewis kicked 3 goals at the last quarter to put Hawthorn in front. When does that happen?
Peter Bell kicked 4 goals in the 99 grand final.
It's a great thing that the AFL website truly lacks. Like, you can click into a game and you can see its timeline, but it's not
It's not the same.
It's not an intuitive
It
way,
doesn't give
especially if
you
you're looking on
the
mobile.
score as you're going on the timeline either. So it doesn't tell you what score the team's hit at any point.
So this is my biggest stocks down I've ever done. I'm fucking pissed.
I'm so with you. My stocks down is something that I've never had stocks in the first place. But I'm putting stocks down on it anyway. But it's asking players about their contract status in post-game interviews.
Oh,
No, fuck off. Talk about the game. Why do we ever need to be asking that in a post? Like, talk about what's happened in that game.
Yeah.
Or, like, maybe the next game. Or how that player's coming on with, like, a whatever injury
Yeah.
or whatever. We don't know about their fucking contract post-game.
it's all they care about now.
It's all they care about.
They've injected it into every single show.
And, like, the only other person is that he doesn't care about contracts, but if there's an injury or a suspension, John Ralph's like, oh, let me talk about it instead of the
Yeah.
football. It's endlessly frustrating.
Yeah, even just a dubious, like, I don't know if he got, I haven't looked at any of the tribunal stuff, but the Port player that that checked.
There can't have been anything.
I doubt it because I haven't heard about it.
But yeah, they'll run 100
they
replays
talked about that
it.
for ages.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Almost like we have too many shows.
We do. It's hit critical mass.
But also, the problem
Which
is we've
I've
now
said
got so
twice
many
now.
shows that they don't... It's now spread so thin that everyone stopped talking about the football and they're just talking about the other shows.
Yeah.
Like, the problem used to be there was too many shows talking about the same football content. But now none of them even talk about the football content.
Someone says something on Agenda Setters, and then someone reacts to it on the radio, and then
someone on
someone
Footy
reacts
Classified
to it
talks
on
about
Footy
it.
Classified, and then it comes back to the
And then
SEN
a
show.
footballer on a podcast says something about it, and then someone says that footballer was unprofessional for
And
saying
then
that
we
about
complain
them,
about it.
Like, I've been making... I said to someone last week who was talking about the same thing, I was like, I've been making a conscious effort to not talk about panel show bullshit, because
We're talking about it too much on the show
the
already.
scourge of the AFL right
It
now.
really has affected the way I've consumed AFL this year. It's made me want to watch less games.
Yeah.
Because I know if I watch the game, what's his name? The guy who took over from
Jay Clark.
Jay Clark will be there ready to
When
talk
first
about.
crack was about the football?
Yeah, he'll be ready to talk about someone's contract, or Ralphie will be there trying to get someone suspended for no reason. Well, I did watch Midweek Tackle, and he said Tasmania should go for Seth Campbell, which, as a Richmond fan, is insane for him to say that.
That is crazy. He's
But they should.
Yeah, absolutely. He's crazy. He's great to watch. Like we've been talking about all year. Like, he went from being a guy who I thought was like a 20 to 24 jobber.
He
to
was
like,
going to be forever the guy that went, remember when you were on our fantasy bench for half a season? You fucking little legend. Now he's doing backflips and kicking 3
and
goals
he's
a
like
game. We're like, fuck.
a massively creative small forward. I did Big Footy Jeopardy this week for you.
Oh, sweet. I'm getting worse at this.
This week's quotes all come from the front page of these post-game ones. I didn't dig any deeper than that.
Oh,
they're
so
all
we're
from
just in
front
the
page
thread. Okay.
of the thread. So like I went into the autopsy / post-game thread, whatever your board calls it, and I just pulled these from the first 25
Jesus,
possible
okay.
comments. So the first one, and these all have a couple. So there's a couple of pull quotes from each board. This one is somewhat of a trick question, but the first quote is, "Yeah, we're not making finals with this sort of effort under any sort of pressure. Legitimately closer to a bottom 4 team than a top 4 side." And the other quote just says, "Burn the tapes."
Top 4?
Closer to bottom 4 than top 4, they reckon.
Freo?
That was Freo.
Yeah.
That was the Freo board.
I knew it was someone who'd won.
Who'd won, yeah. Not a lot of positivity on a winning board, that one.
I don't think many of the boards would be positive about their wins
This
this
one
week.
is 3 different quotes that are all barely a sentence long.
Okay.
First one says, "I'm just tired, man."
That was me. I posted that.
Second one says, "Same shit, different round." And the third one says, "I just wish I didn't love footy so much."
Who could that be? Adelaide?
That was Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Depression, the footy board going on over there.
Yeah, they've completely lost the plot. We didn't even talk about Max Gawn having 2 weeks in a row where he's had a weird incident.
Weird moments. I mean, after Stephen May yelling at Max Gawn this week, he decided to get absolutely fucking pantsed by Georgiades in response, so that was funny. And the third one, the third big footy questions were, first one, "So we're an ordinary insipid side." Second one was, "If the league hadn't destroyed the draft, I'd be interested in a full rebuild. Now I don't know what you do." And the third one was, "I'm a very torn supporter between hating this game plan and also thinking that it's the only thing that this group can handle."
Full rebuild? I want to say it's North or Essendon.
It's not. It's St Kilda.
St Kilda can't do a rebuild. All of their good players are 22.
Yeah, well, except they're not playing, which was actually one of the things I wrote here so I'll jump to that. I think not just because I don't rate Ross Lyon as a coach and never really have, especially not with modern football, but I think they've made a massive error in hiring him purely because his best quality as a coach is to take an established group, bring in some experienced players and get the absolute best out of them.
Yes.
Which means he's not doing that at St Kilda. Mitch Cleary brought it up the other day. It was really funny. I made a post about it and then someone was like, it's funny, Mitch Cleary actually brought this up on a TV show, is that they've now had the second most players over the age of 29 play this year.
Yeah.
You've got
obviously number one would be
Garcia, you've got Wilson, you've got Tauru, you've got like all of these players who are meant to be their
playing,
future.
Hasn't he?
No.
Oh.
You've got all these players who are meant to be their future sitting in the VFL while Hill and Jones and especially, what's his name? He almost killed Luke Parker last year. Webster.
Yeah,
I don't see what Webster's giving you that Garcia or...
Webster's the oldest player on the list.
Yeah. And he's obviously one of Ross's favourites, and he picks his favourites, and they play forever. But like, if you're in the list situation St Kilda's in right now, with a lot of exciting youth, you're better off playing them and losing than playing the old players who aren't giving you enough anyway to win games. They're still probably going to finish bottom four, getting the quote-unquote best out of their results. And I think, but that's just Ross's style. That's what he does as a coach. And they need someone who's willing to just like dig in and not play these older players and just give them a red hot go at getting the kids on track.
I think it's been a shame because they've had three coaches in a row in Ratton and Richardson as well who've done the same thing.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the list here of their over 29s. Some of them are their best players.
Some of them are their best players, for sure.
Jimmy Webster, obviously, I don't think he's moving that club forward. Brad Hill, I believe, may be past his best. He has some moments.
I think he has some moments, but you'd rather see Garcia or Wilson play.
Mason Wood's coming off two of his best seasons for St Kilda, so he gets a pass on that one. Jack McRae's just into the club and has been really good for them.
Fun.
Sinclair's obviously like their best player that's not Wanganeen Miller. Zach Jones shouldn't be playing, in my opinion. Rowan Marshall should be good for another 5 years, so I've got no questions on that. Steele is hit or miss.
Yeah.
He's either awesome or he's just
The best games
non-effective.
Garcia played this year was when Steele wasn't there.
Wilkie's obviously top
great.
shelf.
Yep.
Dougal Howard has been a miss this year for mine.
Yeah. But there's at least three there who should be having kids play ahead of them.
Yeah.
And then based on form, Howard and Wood this year are question marks. So there's like at least four kids you could be playing in this team instead of giving them VFL games.
It's a bit of a dirge below that too because you've got 3 25, 26-year-olds on the list. Hunter Clark, Paddy Dow, Liam Stocker.
Yeah, that's rough, isn't it?
The players under 24 and under are fine. It's everyone above that is a struggle. And obviously...
And like I've liked what I've seen from Keeler in the games he's played as well. I think Garcia just clearly has rubbed Ross the wrong way at some point, and is dead to him, but that's fine.
Some of those players will take time. Keeler's a key,
Yep.
and what's his name? Collard will take time because he's a small.
Yeah.
So if they can get those up and running, like they have some of the most exciting kids in Wanganeen Miller, Mitch Owens, Caminiti's really good.
Yep.
Which when we first saw him, we were like, oh, this is flash in the pan, but he has been
great.
consistent. Yep. There's one more I'm forgetting. Philippou, who's always injured, unfortunately. But I don't think they need a rebuild. I think they need
to play the kids.
Yeah. I think they need to adjust their expectations.
Yeah.
I think making the finals, what was it, 2 years ago?
So they made it under Ratton, won a final.
Yeah.
The next year missed the 8, sacked Ratton. They made the finals first year under Ross, lost. Haven't made it since. And that year they made the finals under Ross, they were all like, oh, this is why we brought him in. And then...
Sure it was first year?
They're now at a worse record than they were under Ratton.
And you've been harping on about that for a while.
Yeah, because I thought that if the point of sacking Ratton was to do a rebuild, Ross was the exact wrong guy to do that. And we're now seeing the results of that 3 years later. So, and then also the one old player I thought they shouldn't have gotten rid of in Tim Membry, with Max King having missed the entire year.
A miss, isn't it, on that?
Almost would have helped to have Tim Membry, but that's all right. He's doing great at Collingwood.
He's doing fine.
He's doing fine. He'd be more than helpful at St Kilda, where they don't have anyone other than Keeler at the moment.
Who thought we'd talk about St Kilda for so long this week?
Yeah,
That was an accident.
I thought that the media have always loved Ross. I think it's only a matter of time before even they start really asking questions. Mitch Cleary is a part of that newer guard of media, which I think he was the first person to bring it up for that reason. Ross has a lot of friends out there. It's going to reach breaking point eventually. If it's not the media, it's the fans.
Yeah. What's your game of the week next week?
Giants Suns.
That's what I've written down. Everything else looks kind
Geelong
of
Brisbane in Geelong. The last 3 times that's happened has been awesome. We had the famous choking game where Chris Scott had to get pulled away from Harris Andrews by Joel Selwood. We had the Zach Bailey robbed of a free kick late in the game, could have cost them the game. Even prior to that, the Blixarves not caught holding the ball, hatching it inside
Do we also 50. Have Lockie Neal getting punched and
Lockie Neal getting punched during the 3 weeks, and then Rowan only getting 1. But even up at the Gabba, like the Ablett out of bounds one, the McCarthy mark to win them the game. There've been some great games between those two, but Brisbane are very undermanned at the moment.
Do you reckon they bring in a defender, or you reckon they play Hipwood back again?
They can't play Hipwood back again. That was... Watching him play defence hurt my soul.
He's played okay down there previously.
He has, but not on the weekend.
Not in that game. He needs preparation time, I guess.
I also put Port Sydney. I think that could be a really interesting game. Outside of that, I looked at the rest of the round and went, oh...
You're going to give your tips like
I'm
you say
going.
you always will?
I'm going to Freo Essendon.
Oh, boy.
Tomorrow night. And I'm tipping Freo by a lot. I think the rain might help Essendon. I think they've got hard-bodied mids that might be able to at least lock the ball in a bit.
Yeah.
And it'll help the ball come to ground a bit in the forward line. Geelong, I think, should beat Brisbane with the way Brisbane are tracking at the moment, but you never guarantee that with Brisbane because they're very good. I'm picking Carlton to beat North because they always do. I'm picking Port to beat Sydney because Sydney confused me greatly.
Yes.
I'm picking Collingwood to beat St Kilda because they are a far better football team, but that's the one I'm least confident on.
Interesting.
Because I think that it's exactly the type of game that Ross manufactures some nonsense for St Kilda to win.
He's got the one lever he pulls Windhager onto Dacos.
Yeah, and Collingwood are one of the teams where it can work because Dacos is their best distributor in the midfield. It didn't work at all. We didn't even touch on that. Tagging Bont is one of the dumbest things you can do because there's 4 other guys almost as good as him at the moment that can be in there. Richards is having one of the best seasons we've ever seen.
Taylor Williams.
Bulldogs to beat Richmond by amount.
GWS Gold Coast is the toughest one.
I've tipped Gold Coast.
I think I'm tipping GWS.
But I'm not confident.
No Sam Taylor is huge, but...
Yeah, but they're a good team.
If anyone has the defensive line to back up the loss of Sam Taylor,
it is them. But Gold Coast's, the area I think GWS are now the weakest, which is crazy because you'd never have said this 5 or 6 years ago, is their midfield.
Yeah.
And Gold Coast's midfield is nuts.
Yeah. But that's how every GWS game has been played this year. They get smacked in the midfield and their defence has record numbers intercepting the ball.
Well, I saw
and they push it forward.
Something the other day, and I've been railing against reward the tackler for ages because I think it's fucking nonsense. Reward the person getting the ball. That's why we've got these dumb holding the ball rules now because everyone's like, oh, you got to reward a good tackle. No, you don't. You got to reward the guys getting the football. Winning the tackle stat is more important to winning a game this year than winning the contested possession stat.
Interesting.
Never happened before. We've now tilted that way finally. Which just goes to show that having that midfield doesn't matter if you've got the right people around it. Geelong almost asked their way to a grand final last year with Tom Atkins doing all of the midfield grunt. Obviously, it's very different this year.
All of it.
With Holmes and Smith in there. But teams have shown that you don't need to win that first touch to win the ball outside and get it forward. But, yeah, frustrating. We mentioned Essendon's debut count. Alex Pearce, very funny. I don't know if you saw that. He is still set to miss this weekend with his injury, which means he is going to miss all the games he was suspended for. But they did it on the principle of the thing.
You've got to.
And also, his getting off, I think, has helped other people now get off.
100%.
For the same thing. If you
they haven't even been suspending him.
Kind of your fault, really. I thought Meek was lucky. I just want to say that one was.
I've just seen this. I don't know if you saw it. The picture from the Fremantle dressing room, and they've got mugshots of the umpires on their whiteboard.
That's so funny. That's so funny. People are going to get really mad about that, but that's really funny. Is it just so that you... maybe it's just so the players know who the umpires are going to be on that?
I would love it if they just had like a dossier and it was like, this umpire's just recently had a kid, so ask him how's fatherhood
Be nice to
going.
the umpires. Yeah.
Whoever your number one Brownlow chance is, just get him up to date with the umpires. What's going on?
Well, speaking of umpires, I didn't even write this down. I saw the other day players pushing other players into umpires. This
has been a problem.
It's now reached the number of umpire contacts. So the umpires self-report to the Umpires Association how many umpire contacts there's been per game. There's been 67 this year, and there was only 63 last year. We've reached the last year's number already. And I've noticed more frees for it in the middle.
So the reason the free was bought in the centre bounce, which is where all of it's getting paid, is because the umpire's trying to get out, and the player, to get away from their opponent, is pushing the opponent into the umpire. The free kicks this year have sometimes not been determined by the out-of-zone umpire.
Yeah, the umpire
that trips over
and sees the person they tripped over
and gives a free kick against him. I think that they need to just tweak that so it's always the umpire outside the circle that calls that free kick.
Yeah, and look, the players are dickheads and they shouldn't be there. Both players are being dickheads.
There are 360 degrees around that umpire. You don't need to take
3 metres of space.
3 metres behind him.
Yeah. But yes, it has been a big increase this year.
Yeah.
Players are trying to be too clever.
It's a good tactic.
Yeah, for sure.
If you can get away with it, sure. But now there's a free kick.
Sometimes you do see it when they just get straight around. The Bulldogs continue to be very annoying, I think, with their best and worst so far apart. And my highlight of the week was Fife getting run down by O'Sullivan. We laughed a lot at that. It was a very much the future is now, old man.
It was a throwback to
him on Corns.
Kane Corns being outrun by Fife and Fife saying you're done.
Yeah,
and I feel like him telling that story so much, he should look at that and go, "Ah, shit."
It felt symbolic.
Yeah. I mean, if Fremantle are going to have a September run,
he pretty good games for O'Sullivan now. He's finally kind of looking at the level, which is good. And it was really funny. I've been educating Twitter today. I didn't realise it was as unknown as it is about the Bergmans not being related.
There's two Bergmans?
The Bergmen.
No, I'm kidding.
And then it also came up, the one you corrected me on, I reckon 3 or 4 years ago, where Sam Berry, not one of the Berries. He's just another curly-haired Berry.
There's a new Berry at Port Adelaide?
Joe Berry?
There's 4 Berries now.
Yeah, but he doesn't have curly brown hair. Sam Berry shaved his off to help tell them apart. But yeah, not related to the Brisbane and Gold Coast Berries at all. And other people didn't know that one either. So, too many berries. Also writing berries, Berries, and then backspace. YS.
It is one of those names, like obviously there's over 800 players in the AFL right now. 4 berries seems like a lot.
I've never met a Berry.
No, I don't think I've met a Berry either.
Definitely never met a Bergman.
No, but it's one of those things.
Like, at least when Jack Rewalt came in, everyone went, so he's related to Nick Rewalt, right? And I was like, yeah, it's his cousin. Good. Another Bergman comes in who looks the fucking same as him and plays the same role. And we're like, so they're related? You go, no, actually, they're not. Like, even the AFL website, on his debut against Carlton, posted that it was his brother.
Like, how many Browns do you think there are in the AFL right now?
None. 1. I don't even know. Callum Brown. Tom Brown.
There's 4. There's 4 Browns and 4 Berries.
That's bizarre.
The ratio on that has to be... Like, the percentage of Browns playing AFL has to be infinitely lower than the percentages of Berries playing AFL.
We had 3 Nathan Browns.
We don't have a single Nathan Brown, and that's why the AFL is in decline right now.
You're so right.
We need to manufacture
bring up
a Nathan
number
Brown.
Of Nathan Browns.
What's another common name I can look up?
Smith.
Oh, there'll be lots of those.
I'm trying to think of any currently. Obviously, Bailey Smith.
There's 7 Smiths.
Yep.
And a bonus Smith.
Who's
the bonus
Hyphenated Smith?
Plays for Richmond.
Ralph Smith.
He's the bonus Smith.
I like that.
So there's 7. Bailey Smith, Brodie Smith, Caleb Smith. I don't know who those other 2 are. Yeah. Jagger Smith and another one I don't know.
Too many Reeds as well. That's an old one.
Yeah,
I saw someone saying, they were like, but Bo Allen is related to Ed Allen, right?
There's still only 5 Reeds. And one of them is a Reedy. So there's 4 Reeds.
And then a Reed AD.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw someone go, but Bo Allen and Ed Allen are related, right? And I went, I'm so sorry to tell you this. They're not. They are both from WA. And Ed Allen is the son of...
A-N.
Yeah, they're both... Yeah, the first name
Oscar
spelling
Allen
last
is
name.
E-N.
Yeah. And
This is
Ed
the best
Allen
part about the fantasy app,
is
by the
the
way,
son
is being able to
of
type him in.
Western Australian football great Ben Allen, and Bo Allen is a WA junior,
But not.
not related, same spelling. Like you don't think about it when it's like a Smith or a like anyone with a name that's that common, but like when it's like Bergman or Allen spelt with the A.
I like the ones where
You
you're
make an
dead
assumption.
set, you know there's not going to be another one unless it's a father-son.
Oh yeah,
Like, there's not going to be another Paul Pleasure. There's not going to be another
We're never going to see
Zerha.
another Dursma that's not related to the Dursmas.
Yes, 100%.
For sure. Swamp posted a stat the other day.
I think it's crazy that we have 2 Vizintinis, to be honest.
that aren't related. Like me with the Stroms, when I was like, wait,
No, are they related?
maybe.
I'm looking it
Surely
up.
not. Because like me with the Stroms recently, I was like, wait, do you mean that giant ruck Mim Strom who plays for Fremantle is related to the giant ruck and fullback who play for South Fremantle's men's?
They are related to
Strom?
Vizentinis.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Thank God.
It turns out that, yes, Jack, the Stroms, S-T-R-O-M, that are all over 6 foot tall, even the 2 daughters in that family, are related. Yeah. But yeah, so Vigo Vicentini becomes the first VV to debut. We are now only down to a few letters left that we've not had the alliteration for, and we just need Brisbane to play Zane Zakatelski this year, because there's only 4 left, and
What are they?
ZZ's one of them. So we've got QQ,
Oh, that's never happened.
UU,
Oh, that could happen.
and I think YY.
That's not happening.
But
It might happen in the AFLW.
yeah, like yeah.
I feel like there's more common Y names.
Yeah.
So-
Well, we got a Yasmin.
Yeah.
But yeah, there'll be 3 left if Zane Zakatelski debuts. So Brisbane, you just need to play him at some point. We just want to tick the box.
Well, it doesn't have to be them. He
Was
could
that
go to another
me
club.
last week? I was like, oh, Essendon's making another debut. And then someone commented, and Blackiston. I was like, I'd love to see Blackiston. And then half an hour later went, you were just telling me more news. They've got
Yes.
2 debuts.
It's. I feel like they're just doing it for fun now.
Why not? Break the record. Do something this year. At least the fans are forced to, like, sit through the rebuild now. Like, they're forced to do it. At the start of the year, Essendon as a club were trying to be like, we are doing a rebuild. And the fans were like, but we're winning some games. And the club was like, don't get too excited about the sugar hits. We're doing a rebuild. But now all the players are injured. The fans just have to be like, we are doing a rebuild. And that's probably good, a little bit. You had a thing.
What did I do?
I don't know.
I already did it.
Oh, you
it was a
already did it?
secret bit.
Oh, secret bit. All right.
I'm doing a secret bit each
I like
week.
that. Okay, that's good.
But it's just for one person, so it's not a big deal. I already did it. You'll never catch it either. If one week you figure out what the secret bit is, I'll give you $10.
All right, sweet. Your mum told my dad about the shirt Jessica wore. They bought the back pocket shirt,
Oh, yeah.
and both of them are so bad at communication
They're terrible, aren't they?
that my dad was like, "You didn't tell me about shirts," and I was like, "The fuck do you mean I didn't tell you about it?" I was like, "I haven't made a shirt for the back pocket in like 6 months since we did the death metal ones."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, but I was talking to Tracy, and she said something about like a shirt that you boys got." I was like, "All right, I understand what's happened here." Jessica's bought a shirt.
Yes.
It's got our faces on it. That's it.
It's not
It's a
well,
weird
it's a good
shirt.
picture. Like,
It's a cool little
shout out. But no, I don't think anyone should be wearing a shirt with our faces on it. That's so
It's
dumb.
very odd. I like the little pocket. It works.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
But yes, the fact that
I
someone
like
out
that.
there.
A few weeks ago, Joe said that it took him until midway through this year to realise that our picture on all socials
in a back pocket.
isn't just us tucked into a little bed talking about football. We're
It's
actually
funnier
in a
that
pocket.
way.
And I was like, no, I like that thought. We're just cozying up.
Sometimes I would like to do the podcast lying down, but I feel like it would be a struggle.
Oh, if we could just we get a second couch here and we both just lie on our side with our head in the box.
Do a little ASMR sleepy
No
podcast.
eye contact at any point during the podcast. Just like head
That's
in
the
box.
way I like it.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
I always
happening.
struggle at work because it's like you can't make eye contact with the person when you're on webcam. Like you can make eye contact with the person
I
or the
do.
camera.
I make eye contact with their little face on the screen,
Yeah, me too. But then it doesn't look like you're looking at. You know what I mean?
but I always have the Teams thing under the camera. This is so pointless what we're
Get
talking
meta
about.
here. Yeah.
I don't know.
I always put it down the bottom because that's where my webcam is.
My webcam's at the top.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
just open my laptop for webcam.
There's a fun fact about us and our
yeah,
workplaces where our
there's
webcams
our
are
work habits.
placed.
That's nice. I had a moment today where an American signed off. We've got an American branch of the company, and we have a fortnightly catch up. And obviously they don't use the word
they call
fortnightly.
it fortnightly?
And they very excitedly went, I'll see you in a fortnight. And I was like, that's funny.
They call
I
it a bi-weekly
They were
meeting?
so excited to say fortnight. Well, they said, I'll see you in 2 weeks. And they went, I'll see you in a fortnight. And I was like, you will see me in a fortnight. You're
Do you
so
think
right.
the video game Fortnite has raised America's awareness of the word
It's
Fortnite?
spelt wrong.
I know it is.
But yeah, maybe. I think they just get more confused. People say a Fortnite and they go, like the video game?
Like the video
no,
game?
you fucking idiot.
I would say that Fortnite, the video game, is more influential than Fortnites in general. So,
Yeah, probably. I was thinking the other day about like weird flow-on effects. And like, do you reckon Starbucks exists as a flow-on effect of the Americans revolting against the British by destroying tea? Like, that's why it became such a like institution over there to have coffee. Like, they do filter coffee, but they drink coffee the same way a lot of other countries drink tea. Like, just they put it in a pot, make it. That's a weird thing to finish the podcast on.
I was just going to say, when are we going to get Warwick Kappa in Fortnite? But
Wazzers in the building.
there's not enough gold coins and silver coins to buy him in Fortnite. Yes, I did it.
We didn't even get to talk about Warren February or Warwick Kappa going insane during the week. Look,
Let's just leave it at that.
Wazzers in the building is the funniest thing to say while being kicked out of AFL property for 5 years.
Oh,
That dude only played 100 games. Like, why?
funny.
Anyway, Warren Treadwell was the funnier one. I am but a man. I am no entity. Fuck, man. Anyway, and then his wife was like, "You guys don't understand. You just got to think more about it. You'll get it."
It's a strange week. We've got two controversies surrounding ex-AFL players called Warwick and Warren.
Lots of "don't tread Ray on me" jokes to be made at least about Tread Ray.
Funny.
But yeah, weird week for off-field stuff. And someone was like, "Are these the most cooked off-field guys?" And a bunch of people were like, "Did you see the Gary Ablett Senior COVID video?
Oh my
Because
god!
that still wins. That still wins.
Even just the one where he's on field.
Oh, just
completely
coked out
coked
his brain.
out.
That's why he stopped doing media appearances post-career.
Because he was fucking
Always
banging.
coked. Fucking
We've
pupils.
talked about that interview too many times.
It's very
so
funny.
funny.
If you haven't seen it, definitely
Just
look it up.
Google. Well, don't just Google Gary Ablett Coke.
You'll get a lot of news articles.
Interview.
Get a lot of news articles if you Google that one. From shortly after his playing career ended about a hotel room in Melbourne. Anyway, allegedly.
We'll never know.
Anyway, on that note, thank you for joining us. It's a miracle we made it through a 50-minute episode because Alistair is still dying a little bit.
Oh yeah, I'm struggling.
When I got home and you were out of the world, I was like, maybe we're not doing it. And then you got up.
No, I made sure. I've been okay today. I'm hopefully on the up. It's been a rough week and a half.
Yeah,
The fact that I still have to work while sick is shit.
that's cooked. Yeah, my boss currently has conjunctivitis and the flu
Conjunctivitis
at the
sucks.
same time.
Yeah.
So fuck that. She keeps being like, "Oh, I'm so sorry I can't come in." I was like, "You have conjunctivitis and the flu. Don't
Get
be
away from me."
sorry." Oh, my, doesn't work with me. She's in Adelaide.
Ah, there you go.
They'll have to deal with it when she
You
comes
can't,
back.
can't get it. Digital conjunctivitis.
Imagine if you could.
Your
That's
webcam.
the real dangers of the internet. Anyway, thank you for listening, and we will see you
Such a shit podcast.
next week.